Hi there. Welcome to the Be the Cake podcast, the money episode. Now, this subject, as I'm sure you're aware if you're listening to this, is possibly one of the most contentious ones on the planet for most people in terms of the fact that most people associate money with freedom. Most people associate money with success. Most people associate money with their worth. Most people feel a lack of all of these things too. So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. And I will say right now that this podcast, just like the last one and possibly all of the ones that are going to follow, but I'm not going to guarantee that, is actually, it contains embedded energy work. So just allow yourself to receive it. And the energy work, what the energy work is doing is sorting out everywhere where you are disallowing money to actually be a part of your experience, your reality, in a state of flow, as opposed to what you've probably been experiencing if you're listening to this. You know, if you found me on YouTube, there's a high likelihood that you've come looking for stuff about money and you've ended up listening to this simply because you've been having a bit of a roller coaster experience with it. You've maybe tried to manifest it, but it's been really hit and miss. You know, this is the thing with manifestation. I could encompass the whole topic of manifestation into talking about the money stuff here. Okay, so a lot of the manifestation techniques that are out there in the world that are recommended to people are presenting what I would call an incomplete picture. And this is why I do the work that I do in the way that I do it. And this is why basically I go way beyond all of that stuff now. And obviously I'm not sharing with you in this video what I'm doing here. I do have a group, a quantum creation group program, which for those of you who are really just absolutely dying to actually get to grips with your magic and start working with it properly, this is where I teach this stuff. It's a paid program, okay? And I will extend the invitation right now. Obviously, like and subscribe and share and all of the things with this video if you're watching it. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud, you know, like, subscribe, follow, do all of the things also there too. Obviously, you won't be able to see my face as you're listening to this. Doesn't really matter. But I will say there's an invitation in here for you if you are ready to start owning your magic, if you want to be able to shift your reality without having to go looking for resources to help you do it. And the Quantum Creation Group program is for you. You might not be at the stage yet where you're ready to do that and you're still wanting to dibble around using free resources like this, and that's absolutely fine too. I felt like it was time for me to do this podcast and to talk about this stuff and to obviously embed the energy work that you're now receiving in here to help free things up on the financial front for you, so you're not constantly stumbling and wondering what the fuck's going on. But I wanted to talk about the money stuff because I feel like, you know, I've been there, so many people I know have been there. So much of the planet is caught in this catch-22 situation with money, of always feeling like there's never enough, of always feeling like one of the biggest problems that people have is people attach their worth to money. Your worth is not quantifiable in financial terms at all. Your worth is innate. It's an internal thing. When you have your worth attached to money externally, then you are living in a false identity. You're not being true to yourself. Obviously, like, the other part of my work is actually bringing you back to the truth of who you actually are, so that you can actually own your inner power, your inner confidence, etc., etc. And I never talk about this as me empowering you, but I help you to empower yourself through the work that I do, through the energy work, through so on and so forth. So obviously through my digital programs, it's all about, you know, you receive the work and the results happen and and you get you get realizations along the way. When you're in the Content Creation Group program, what happens is you step properly into the role of being creator and actually taking charge. That's the difference between like the two options basically for working with me in terms of the digital stuff, self-study, or the group stuff, which is obviously with me running the group, interacting with everybody in there. And going back to the money stuff again, because obviously that's why we're here. We have all, I think, had varied experiences of money. A lot of our stuff to do with money is based on our experiences growing up. If you've been on what I call a spiritual path for a while, there's quite often other things that get snuggled up in there too. There's things like persecution imprints and various other things that happen that you kind of reactivate unwittingly, which then cause all sorts of issues. I experienced it for myself, I'll be really honest. I experienced it. I went from basically earning really good money to falling down what I call my spiritual rabbit hole, and then doing well for a while, and then an old trauma resurfaced because I moved to Mallorca, and all sorts of things went really sideways. I went from being like in a really like comfortable, solid, I'm going to say like grounded position where I felt like my foundations were solid, to actually understanding that my monetary foundations were attached to a whole load of other stuff that got shaken up basically, and then going through a period of massive insecurity to do with that. And it wasn't directly the money, but the money was affected by that. And this is the thing with money stuff, most of the time it's not actually the money as such, the money's being affected by other things. And when you just look at the money and you just blame the money stuff or whatever, when you're looking at the situation and you're frustrated and you're just looking at the money stuff, what you're doing is you're not going deep enough. For starters, you need to always, if you want to delve into this stuff yourself, you need to be looking at, where there's insecurity in your relationships, where there's undealt with stuff from your childhood that's still running the show behind the scenes, like what your parents' relationship with money was like, what the ancestral stuff passed down through the family. So it might not just be your parents, it might be like going back generations that there's been stuff going on around all of this, and it's your job to bring this stuff to consciousness. If you're determined to dive into it for yourself, if you want to actually understand, then that's what you need to look at. It's the ancestral stuff. It's quite often the past life stuff too. It's just stuff to do with your childhood. It's stuff to do with your interactions with other people, your relationships growing up, and how your friends and your peers behave to do with money. Like, if you grew up in a country like the UK, like I did, there's an awful lot of social status stuff goes on around money. I live in a country where we still seem to be, to a certain degree, obsessed with having a class system, which is frankly ridiculous. But, there it is. That's what seems to still be running the show to a massive degree, and I feel that's one of the things that we're going to see shifting and changing over the coming years, because it's the old way of doing things basically. And I think a lot of people are waking up to this and they're realizing it now. But the bottom line of all of this stuff, the bottom line of all of the money stuff is that just like with anything in your life that's not working the way that you want it to, basically it's all actually working the way that you want it to. Let me explain this and break it down a bit for you. Okay, so you are actually that powerful a creator that everything is always working according to the way that you want it to work. The problem is that your conscious mind, the 5% that knows what's going on, basically isn't acknowledging the fact that what's actually going on is you're getting exactly what you want. So you have been trained to be addicted to poverty, addicted to struggle, addicted to suffering, addicted to hardship, addicted to all of these lower states of being, addicted to slavery, servitude, penury, martyrdom, all of the things, all of these wonderful, lovely things, very dramatic. There's a lot of drama usually involved in all this stuff. And you haven't taken charge of this, or kind of understood how to let go of it, because you don't even see it. It's like lying, it's so deeply buried in your consciousness. And the thing is, your consciousness, like, there's 5% of it most of the time that most people are aware of, and the rest of it's like a fucking mystery. Okay, and in actual fact, this is why I work with energy. It's the quickest way to go in and pull out what needs pulling out and rearrange things in your consciousness so that you open up to the divine flow of what's actually meant for you, rather than what you've been allowing yourself to have, which is the scraps, basically. And the scraps, most people are used to living on the scraps. They don't think there's anything more available to them. The fact is that there's always more available to you, and there's more available to you in this moment, but you have no understanding, A, that it's available, or B, how to connect with that. And this is the thing. And you can't just get there by positive thinking, because you have cells, you have structure, you have this massive, huge unconscious section of you that is like, it's like the bit of the iceberg that's underneath the water. You've got your subconscious, and then the unconscious, which is even deeper, which is where stuff's really like dug in and stuck. And whatever's in there is going to be creating the majority of your experience. So in order to actually deal with this stuff, you've got to fucking get right down in there, basically. And this is why I work with energy. It is so much faster. It's faster than NLP. It's also a lot more, I'm going to say right now, more ethical. There's an awful lot of NLP stuff out there which is used in ways that aren't so savoury. When I was in my hypnotherapy diploma, I did kind of dabble around the edges of NLP from the point of view of thinking, should I learn about it? It never felt aligned for me. It never resonated for me. So I kind of bought myself an NLP certification course, an online one, and basically just didn't even do anything with it, because I was there going, this is something I need to know. And then I was just like, it just doesn't feel right. And I'm very good at trusting my gut on these things. The bottom line of it is that when you're looking purely at hypnosis-based techniques, it's not dealing with the energetic stuff too. And in actual fact, when I go in and do energy work, I'm dealing with the energy and the structure. Hypnosis deals with the structure to a certain degree, but it's a bit like taking some dodgy foundations and building some more foundations on top most of the time. Whereas when you're doing proper energy work, what you're doing is you're digging down in and you're completely ripping out the crappy foundations and you're putting in new ones that are solid. So you're not just like covering over the top. There's no papering over the cracks going on. Okay, and you will find this after you've experienced this, in 24 hours or so, you're probably going to feel an immediate shift in terms of your actual energetic structure inside. From the point of view, you're going to feel happier, for starters. There's like, whenever there's a money shift, there always basically means that the initial energy that gets shifted literally shifts you into a much more peaceful, calm, centered state of being, for starters, and you will feel that straight away. Like, you'll feel more playful than you have done for a while. If you've been having a lot of money issues, or even you could have lots of money in the bank and still be having money issues. This is the thing. You could be a multi-millionaire and still be having money issues. People seem to think that having money issues is exclusive to being poor. Having money issues, I regard having money issues as living in a state of mental lack, where you're constantly fearing about losing money, running out of money, not having enough money, even when you've got loads of money in the bank, which causes you to act from a state of fear and competition and jealousy and all of those other types of emotional states, rather than one of expansive generosity, the ability to love yourself enough to invest in yourself, the ability to be generous with other people in the world around you without feeling pinched, so on and so forth. There's so many things that tie into this, and I see people who have difficulty with money, who are on even on the richer side of things, not wanting to spend money to invest in themselves to actually sort out what's going on, you know, their shitstorm of like negative self-talk and so on and so forth. When you see that going on, people saying they can't afford things even though they know they've got plenty of money in the bank, that's having money issues. Having money issues isn't exclusive to being poor. Okay, having money issues is basically being in a state of constant fear around money and not being prepared to take risks, not being prepared to invest in yourself, not wanting to take actions that would expand you because you're living basically like you're going to be broke any moment now, even when you're not, basically. That's poverty consciousness. Poverty consciousness isn't just about being poor, it's about living as though you're about to be poor at any moment. So you have to grasp and hold on to things all the time. And, you know, this is the big problem that we see in the world today looking around us. You look at, you know, all of the people that we see acting in corrupt manners and so on and so forth. They all have issues with poverty consciousness, lack consciousness, scarcity consciousness. They're constantly trying to grab more because they are scared that there won't be enough and that they might lose or something along those lines. And then that would mean death to them or whatever, you know, like suffering. But so through their fear, they then cause suffering to everyone else around them because of their actions. So that, you know, that is the shit that I'm talking about here. And in actual fact, if you're someone who has a lot of money who tends to be a mean bastard, and, you know, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, you know, you tend to penny pinch and scrimp and say no to things all the time, and say no to the things you really want because you feel like you're constantly having to save your money for a rainy day, and you're listening to this, you're going to find you have a massive attitude shift as a result, and you're welcome. It's about fucking time, really. So yes, what I will say right fucking now is that you're going to see changes as a result of this. You're going to feel the changes first. Within 24 hours or so, you're probably going to start to see changes. And the way that this is designed, the work that's going into this video, the work that I've embedded, is that will be ongoing, but you're going to start to have awareness of other places where you're out of alignment. Like I said, there's an invitation in this for you to connect with me and ask about how you can work with me. There's a one-to-one option that I do have. There's obviously the group thing if you want to learn more about this and actually how to work with energy for yourself so that you can create a better life, not only for you but for everyone around you, in alignment with your highest good and best interests and everyone else's too. So you're not feeling like you have to behave like some kind of pantomime villain. You know, let's face it, like a lot of the corruption that we see in the world, we have people who are doing the corruption stuff that gets uncovered behaving like pantomime villains, don't we? It's like one step away from twirling a Dick Dastardly moustache, and, you know, kind of amusing to watch from the outside, but at the same time, like, not really a way to live, is it? Or is it? I don't know. You tell me. So yes, I am saying right here, right now, if you're listening to this podcast today, I am being forward and specific and pointed about this. There's a strong possibility that your soul has been nudging you to take steps in the right direction, to stand in your power more and to stand in your divine truth. And I am here to help you stand in your divine truth, not your lower realm truth or any of that stuff, but your divine truth and your divine power. My work helps to facilitate you doing that. So if you're ready, do get in touch with me. And if you're not, you're very welcome for the benefits you're going to receive from this. And I do wish you a wonderful life, and I hope that you go on to spread the good around, because, you know, the world needs lots more people spreading the good around, really. Do you not think? Anyhow, I'm sending you all lots of love. Thank you for listening today. I've given you some nuggets to think about. Basically, poverty consciousness is a state of mind that even rich people have. Remember that. And in actual fact, you can be in wealth consciousness and not have very much money. But if you're in true state of wealth consciousness right the way through your being, the money does catch up. It just sometimes might take a bit of time depending on what other stuff you've got going on. So if you're in a state of feeling abundant but at the same time you're not seeing it, then there's other things that are going on that need dealing with. Once again, get in contact. There are solutions available. There are affordable solutions available for you if you don't want to sign up for a group or a one-to-one. Mwah! I'm sending you lots and lots of love. And until next time.